Hello YouTube and welcome to the Babblelink channel. Today we're going to ignore the fact that my eyes are going to be looking at my screen constantly because I have a script in front of me and I can't do a proper speech without saying or like. So I need everything written down, and we're going to pretend I didn't say that. So anyways, today I wanted to talk about the Trickster buff that came out recently and how the buff, in my opinion, at least, was pointless and didn't need to happen. Now, before you sit there and click off this video thinking what I said was stupid, at least hear me out first. What I say may change your mind. So first off, I want to briefly go over the buffs they initially gave them. I don't want to get into too much detail as this has been covered by the DVD streaming giants, as we all know and watch. I particularly like Scott, Otts, and Dowsey. So let's just look right into the buffs. I'm pausing because I'm going to be constantly stopping this and then re-recording, and then you'll see. You'll understand what I'm going to be doing. You'll see. Here are the buffs: 8 to 6, faster laceration, shorter delay, blah, 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 main event, blah, 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 blah. Except for the main event buff, everything else is kind of just blah, 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 blah to me. All right, brief done. So now that we officially went over my briefing of the updates, let's actually get to the meat of things and let me explain why I think they were pointless and what they actually need to do to fix Trickster, and actually all far range characters in generals too, minus Warden, because Warden is, we all know he's just really good. But this will help buff Trickster and Huntress in the end, in my opinion. If DVD ends up listening to me, we all know they won't, but let's just try. I'm going to be showing you two different Trickster games to show you why the Trickster buff was pointless and what they actually need to do to fix Trickster and Huntress and any far range characters they create from here on out. So this map is the perfect example of too many tall walls absolutely crushes far range characters. Everything on this map is damn near a tall wall, and the players that play against me know how to go against a Trickster and know how to abuse the tall walls. So the first problem with this map is when you're playing as Trickster, when it's a large map like this, you are a nurse with no blinking ability. So you are just walking really slow until you can initiate the chases. Now, I'm not sitting here looping everybody and not throwing any knives. I attempt to make my knives at far range when I can actually see them, and I do hit them quite often. And then the other problem with Trickster is there's quite a few times where I will get the knives and hit them before they'll dead hard, and I will pause it later on, and before they even activate dead hard, the server will act as if they activated dead hard 30 seconds before they actually did. So they'll end up avoiding even more knives of mine, and that's even more infuriating. So I'm just going to shut up for a little bit and just have this game continue for a little bit. As you can see, I am attempting to make my knives far range. I'm pressuring. I have oppression as well. If I know they're abusing the tall wall, so I figured, hey, maybe I might surprise a few people over at other gens and things like that. And I even tried. I bamboozled myself here. No one was here in the end because of oppression, but I'm doing really well pressuring gens. I am finding them. I'm trying to avoid the shack as much as possible because we all know that's going to end up turning into like a 2-minute chase with Trickster, even trying to get the knives through the windows and stuff. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible by getting them at gens. But as you're going to be seeing, these survivors did nothing wrong. They're really, really good. They did nothing wrong. They did exactly what they were supposed to counter Trickster. I just wish Dead by Daylight had a nice balance of tall walls and then short walls. And I'm going to be pausing the video really quick to show you an example of that, where I am going to be pausing the video so I can bring up another example. Now here, as you can see, we have a very, very crude drawing of one of my favorite loops that I feel like is balanced and they need to add more and do a variety of for far range characters. So in my opinion, this is a really well balanced loop for Trickster and Huntress. I like the fact that there are spots where the player can hide, but they're forced to move around and they're forced to duck, and they can use their little urban evasion, but there's big openings that are about waist high that you can actually use your ability and hit the daggers and or wow, oops, my bad. Hit the daggers and or hatchets with. And I like these. Now the problem with the game that I'm playing in and many people's problems are that the new map redesigns and all the new maps that they keep adding are either all indoor maps where there's every 5 feet there's a window, there's a doorway, there's something to turn in, and there's a tall wall in the way, or you get all these open maps outdoors, and then there's just tall walls everywhere, and then there's a main building that they can abuse, which makes it even harder. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to watch the rest of this game, and you're going to see how all these maps basically are just tall walls that players abuse every time there's a far range character, which is why Huntress and Trickster just suck in general. And it's kind of infuriating. Oh, wait. Hold on. I have to pause it right here and slow this down because you will see that I hit her with 2 daggers before she activates her dead hard, and I still didn't down her ass when I needed the one last dagger and I had 4 left. Makes it extra infuriating. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a bug. It's a bug. Let's face it, it's a bug. But that had nothing to do with the gameplay. That was unfortunate. Well, it did have something to do with the gameplay, but it was unfortunate. It had nothing to do with tall walls. It was just that was an unfortunate accident. Sorry for rambling. Blah, 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 words. Anyways, let's continue the video. And another issue with these new map redesigns are why is there always a main building where there's like 1 or 2 window vaults that are god loops that are just that are insane to get around and stuff. And you can almost never catch up with slow characters like this. It's very infuriating. Luckily, I got that hidden, but as you can tell, right when I get to my first hook, 3 gens popped already, and there's about to be another one that pops by the time I get this hook. What am I supposed to do in these situations when there's tall walls everywhere? Can we get it to where every time, see, I'm off script, so I'm saying and like a lot, but can we get it to where if you choose a far range character, we can have an RNG where the map decides to put in a mix of short walls and tall walls, where it's a little more balanced? Because this map would have been great if they actually used the middle parts, but there's just so much shit in the way that they're able to avoid it. And I know I just sound like a crybaby at this point, but at least I'm hoping that you guys think I have a point with this, because I don't feel like Trickster needed the buff that he did. They just need to redesign the maps again, because they're terrible at map design. It's like, look at all the crap that's in the way. And I know I'm not the greatest at aiming, and I made probably a couple of mistakes, and people can point it out, but it's just infuriating where you're supposed to be at least able to get 2 kills, and you can't even get that with Trickster most of the games. You have to be camping at least one body if you get like 1 or 2 hooks. And then at the end of this game, you're gonna see survivors complain about how I played. And I was like, I didn't even tunnel. I didn't tunnel. I didn't do anything toxic or anything. All I did was camp the last body after they finished this gen, and they got really mad at that. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do when there's tall walls everywhere? So we're gonna just fast forward this video just a little bit faster because in the end, they ended up getting her off the hook, anyways. And I just want to skip straight to the shit talk. Is that enough time? Did I time it right? Did I fast forward it fast enough to get to this point? Let's find out. Alright, here's the final example of another tall wall game that I ended up getting into and having the same exact issues of where I was trying to get somebody and chase them, but there's just so much damn shit in the way that you can't use your ability as Trickster. So you're forced to kind of M1, but you can't really catch up, so... Here we go. Tall wall, 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 tall wall. All the loops on this map happen to be a tall wall. And then the tall walls that do have like stuff that you can shoot your knives in between, the gap is so significantly small, you're not going to get too many daggers in. So you're going to end up spending like 2 minutes at these loops right here trying to get them. Here, you just watch me struggle. I know I'm not the best at aiming, but like, damn, just trying to get like any daggers in between those spots. And this is why I gave that truck example earlier, why I think those are more balanced, because at least the truck has a big tall wall in the middle of it where you can abuse it, but then as soon as you start getting towards the back where it's the flatbed part, that's where you're gonna have to start urban evasion, and then you're gonna have to start ducking and stuff, so I can at least get a few more daggers in. Those are balanced to me, and I think the loops that have absolutely no tall wall in it, or a mix of it, where it's like a mix of short and tall mixed together. I think the ones that are just completely short walls are bullshit for Trickster too, because then people feel like the character's bullshit, because then he's not really trying. So it's either you get maps with like a bunch of short walls where you get to see a bunch of Trickster amazing plays like I've done before, and then a bunch of streamers where they show off how fast they kill, because those are just extremely short walls out in the open. And then you'll never really see the games where they lose badly, but they don't really explain it because like it's all tall walls. Like for example, even this loop right here, it's all tall wall. What am I supposed? How am I supposed to use my ability? At least with the Leon loop earlier, I had a little bit more of a chance because there were small gaps in between. But for this, because I'm so slow, and I'm even slower when I initiate my blades without some add-ons, which I have on, and I'm still slow. What am I supposed to do in these situations? Like having 6 daggers and having like 44 daggers and taking 6 almost makes no difference when you get to a tall wall again. You might save you like a minute in general, and you might get to the 2 kills, but you're going to be sweating so hard and barely keeping up to get those 2 kills. And I've been playing the new buff. I will be making another video to see if truly the buff was necessary for tall walls and they don't have to redesign, because I haven't tested it too much. But from what I've been playing and what I've seen, it really makes no difference. It makes it even harder because you have to reload even more often now. So it almost makes the buff made almost no difference against sorry, scratch. The buff almost made no difference when you got maps like these constantly, or they're all indoor. Because let's face it, the last few maps that they've created for DLCs, they've all basically been indoor. And it's just been a killer on far range characters. And when they redesign all these maps, they just added more trees and clutter in the open areas where they can even dodge. There's like 1 or 2 maps you can actually abuse, like the Coldwind Farm, for example, maps, and then there's some Auto Haven or Wreckers maps, because again, like when I like the truck loops, happens to be at Auto Havens only for those truck loops. So when I get Coldwind and Auto Havens, it's a lot more balanced and it feels a lot more fair because there's actual dead zones where you don't want to be caught in and you have to be skilled or use stealth. In the new game, dead zones almost don't exist anymore. All the dead zones either have a tall wall loop right next to it that leads straight to another loop. It's kind of insane. They went backwards. When they first redesigned the maps, they were starting to get balanced. They started adding more short loops compared to longer loops, so where you could actually get to mind game people. Yes, the other side had more pallets, but the short loops were riskier because you actually had to pull off the stun if you wanted to gain distance. And then when they redesigned them again with the new graphics, they just got rid of all of those ideas and just went reverted back to the original state that DVD was in with the maps that everyone complained about. And I haven't really seen any videos complain about, except for Scott, honestly. He's the only one that's brought up that the new map redesigns are terrible because they reversed what they did when they originally redesigned them. The last redesigns before the graphical update were actually balanced maps, and I really enjoyed those maps, especially with the short palettes. And there was actually more of a mix of short walls and tall walls for the far range characters. And then after they did the graphical updates, they just went back to the original designs that everybody hated anyways. I don't understand that. These maps are terrible for far range characters. For melee characters, I like it because I understand why there's so many tall walls, because the complaint was there wasn't enough mind games for the killers with their red light and moonwalking and stuff like that. So tall walling it made it to where you actually had to guess a little bit more and be a little more skilled. But at the same time, you end up nerfing every single far range character except for Ward in existence. Even future far range characters that you guys make, DBD, not you guys, but DBD makes, they're automatically going to be nerfed and terrible because of all these tall wall situations. So they're just going to end up creating a really powerful range character. Everyone's going to find him annoying. They're going to nerf the shit out of him to the ground. And then everyone's going to complain that they're terrible. Then they're going to slightly buff them, which makes no difference because all these maps with tall walls are just going to kill any range characters that come in except for Warden. And it's a damn shame because I really enjoy range characters. But I guess the reason why they did it was because the community hates range characters, so they basically nerfed all the maps to be like, hey, you can be ranged, but 80% of your maps you're just gonna have this issue with this Trickster game as you've been watching. And of course, you'll have good games with tall walls when you come against like terrible when you get terrible players, you'll be able to kill them a lot faster. But I'm a red rank and I get a lot of really good players. I survive with friend or not, even really good solo players, and they tend to know how to counter all the killers. And it's infuriating when they know how to abuse the tall walls on all these maps. And again, the survivors did nothing wrong. They weren't. It's not like they were terrible and got lucky. They happened to be really good on top of abusing the tall wall situation. But I end up getting a lot of shit talk in these situations, or people trying to tell me that I could have played differently, like in chat down here as you're reading. You're going to see that someone's trying to help me, and I actually asked for tips in the video of like what I can do in this situation, and he doesn't give me anything viable. The only viable option that he ended up giving me was you can use discordance when they're gen rushing, so I at least know where people are. But when he was like use barbecue, well, I can't get if I can't get any hooks, barbecue is invalid. He's like use Iron Maiden. They weren't hiding in lockers because they didn't need to. They could just abuse the tall walls. So all in all, again, sorry for ranting for so long. The maps need to be redesigned again, please, for range characters. I feel like they're balanced for melee characters, but for range characters like Plague, Huntress, and Trickster, and any future range characters they're going to create, it is just going to destroy them in the end. And the buffs and nerfs that they do are going to be pointless. Because the new buff right now, I agree. If you end up getting a good map, it's just more annoying against going to go against Trickster, which may make the devs nerf him even further again, which is unfortunate. But sorry for ranting for so long. Hopefully I had a valid point. If you think I didn't, think I was stupid, go ahead and dislike the video. If you liked what I had, please like it. And if you want to know any more of my opinions on this game or any other game or anything, just let me know down in the comments and I can make more of these videos. If you don't think I'm worthy of making these videos, you'd rather go to Dowsey or Scott or Space Coconut or Otz, yeah, all those people, I understand. Have a nice day.